session. Okay, so welcome again to the innovation project, and I will start immediately sharing some stuff. Sharing my screen number 2. There we go. Just a moment, I lost the chat window. I'll put the chat window somewhere. Huh, that's funny, it doesn't show up. James, would you take care of the chat in case somebody is actually asking questions there or giving comments? Okay, but I guess that you are seeing my window here, the presentation, right? Anyone?
I can see it.
Okay, good. So I will start with the show. As usual, we start with the review. First 2 weeks are gone. The same thing for the assignments. Individual assignment was due already a week ago, and the number 1, there were still at least 4 videos missing. And in case you want to have a good grade from the course, it really requires that you will be doing as good as possible these exercises, assignments. So if you haven't uploaded the video yet, you should do it as soon as possible, since now we are down to 5 points maximum anymore, and on Friday after that basically you don't get much points at all, so there's a penalty on giving late returns. It's not that I would be evil. I'm sometimes I'm a bitch. I agree, but actually I have to admit, but actually on the real working life, deadlines are deadlines, and you are not getting too many excuses of falling behind on the deadlines. It's a part of the education to give you this valuable lesson on deadlines and what they mean. Same thing for the individual assignment too. Okay, it was done and the form is closed now. So basically there will be some penalty for the students who did not do it by the deadline. If you want to argue with that one, please send me and James some good reason why there shouldn't be a penalty. Okay, and this is week 3. Week 3, I think I have better, which is today. Some teaching. I will start with this project management part 2, which is basically budgeting, logbooks, reporting progress, that kind of stuff. And then before we go to the break rooms on Zoom, James will show you some details on each innovation project group and how that was actually, those groups were formed. That was a big process yesterday. It took basically a full work day for 2 of us to go through the stuff. But anyways, now the group division is done, but you need to basically wait patiently here. And then we have this group assignments 3, and you will start doing this assignment on the breakout rooms today. And basically this assignment is to prepare a team presentation for next week session. So next week's session is mostly your show. Me and James will be there moderating and running the show and trying to keep you, say, in time, 5 to 6 minutes maximum presentation. But anyways, each group will show what they have, what kind of project they have, and so on. But there are some instructions on the assignment number 3, more details. Okay, so that's today's agenda. Okay, project management number 2, which is about budgeting, logbooks, reports. Last time, let's see, I have to review. Project management, planning, reporting, and tools, good practices in teamwork, team structure, and roles. James gave an excellent review on that one. I try to do the same for this part. This is more like technical stuff. The things that just have to be done, like budget, which is simply a financial plan to manage costs of the project. Simple. This far on these, student projects, what you have been doing, you haven't needed to care much of the budgeting, since everything has been free, because of Finland has this wonderful law about this having free education, and even this if you are our paying student, since if you are outside of EU ETA, the area, then you need to probably pay some tuition fees. Well, that's quite moderate price what you are paying in any case. But anyways, so you get all the premises are free for use, all the material. You have software, Microsoft software, Google licenses, and all sorts of software. What you need in school, you get it for free. Okay, so budget. But in real life, you need to actually understand the money flow in real work. And it doesn't actually hurt making your budget, personal budget, to see what are your assets and can you buy that PlayStation number 5 or 6 or whatever. Okay, logbook. What is a logbook? Logbook is actually professional diary, memo, and you keep it for yourself. Okay, then reports. When you are doing a project, then some reports are required. That's part of the, or that is the key to the good management. It's there I have a metaphor. Would you like to drive your car blindfolded? Think of a managerial position in industry. Think of yourself in managerial position in industry few years from now, and you are managing a project where you are just you are not actually doing any, say, productive work there, just managing it, but you are actually also responsible of the project. Okay, would you like to just wait for the end result? That would be embarrassing if the project went haywire from the beginning. Or would you like to have actually, say, weekly checkpoints, simple, fast reporting about the status of the project? At least I would like to have the later one. Okay, budget. Why budgeting? Okay, understanding key factors, how the budget is built. Okay, and this is basically why we are teaching you a little bit of the budgeting. Finally, you will be on your first project in industry, you will be learning some budgeting. And that, but anyways, it's good to have some sort of feeling before that. When you're working as a professional engineer, it's quite evident that if the good deeds have a price of bad job, so good work leads to promotions. So you start with some sort of junior specialist position, then senior, then you go to team leader, then project manager, and so on up to the CEO, whatever. Starting at least from team leader, you need to also get yourself involved with budgeting. You are asked to estimate the cost of the personal cost, for example, or the how many hours some work needs. That's also part of the budgeting. Okay, and here in this innovation project, you can practice this budgeting on safe environment. So if you are a student in Metropolia and shooting for good grade, highest grades for this innovation project, even if you fail to keep that imaginary budget, you're still getting good grades since you have done it technically correctly. It's probably just that you didn't have all the details correct. In real life, you would have some professional help. These business controllers on the business, they're actually helping the project teams to form a realistic budget. And in company environment, if you fail a big enough project, then you can fail the next one only on the next company, not that one anymore. Got my hint. Okay, and learning budgeting may also help balancing your own finances. I don't know. It hasn't helped me, but there's always hope. A review from last time. I changed a little bit of the cost. The Business Finland project planning template actually also have the part 5, costs, and various headings. That's a screen dump from the budget and funding estimate. They are quite similar also on the company environment, except that some of these fine prints, these, for example, are services from other domestic organizations. Yes, Business Finland is interested about that, where the money comes from in company environment. That might be actually something that they don't need to know. And basically, the budget answers the question how much it costs to complete the project, total cost of the project. And there basically, the key idea is to count everything which are for the project, but actually separate the costs that are not for the project. I have some ideas about that one later. So basically, obvious ones: wages, salaries, indirect personnel cost, overhead, travel due to the project, materials that are both for the project, services both for the project, or actually for especially ICT, or more and more on every single project in the world, software. How much you need new software for the project, license cost due to the project. And then actually another one for the project also, this is the cost, but also if there are external sources of funding. In industrial projects, you might be actually applying a fund from Business Finland. If it's an research and development project, then you can, and the project is something about a future exports product, then you may be able to get some funds from Business Finland to boost that project, and that will be then external funding for the company point of view. What else? If you are a startup company, then basically if you have investors, if you take loans for the project, if you already have pre-sales of the stuff what you are planning to do, that's actually quite normal nowadays, that these nice little gadgets that they are available, they're pre-sales. Sometimes they are actually somehow camouflaged as crowdfunding, meaning that when you pay some certain amount of money to the company, now they then actually send the first products to the first paying customers. But that's more or less like pre-sales. Although I think it's the crowdfunding is kind of cleaner way of saying, okay, in case there wouldn't be any product, then you just lost your money. But if it's pre-sales, then basically this company is obligated to actually serve you. Okay, and then of course sources of funding. Sometimes these projects can sell services already during the project, or a part of the project is based on some, for example, some expertise, or you bought the software for the project use, and now you can also sell services. Okay, so that kind of would be counted in budget on the incoming money. Okay, so debit and credit. I never remember which one is which one. Well, yeah, James will tell you. All right. Wages and salaries, how to calculate it? I have a nice, this is an old joke from, I think it's from 70s or 80s even. This is the old saying, time equals money. And you also know that knowledge is power. And from physics, work is time times power, meaning the work is money times knowledge. So basically, if you work equally hard, the one who knows less gets more money. Right. Haha, that was a joke. Okay, starting from that one, few facts. Finnish law does not say anything about the minimum salary. Okay, that's people can be paid as little as they agree, but okay, Finland has strong unions which are making binding contracts with employer unions. So basically the employee unions and employer unions are making the contracts, and the bigger companies always follow those. They don't put big strikes. But when it comes to the small and medium-sized enterprises, however, they generally make individual contracts with employees, not necessarily following the union contracts, since they don't have to be part of the union. This in Finnish law actually it states that you have freedom of taking part of a union. You don't have to. Okay, but anyways, in order to get good workers for small and medium-sized enterprises, they can offer something else. One, of course, is if you are early on a startup company, then you can have a dream to strike rich. just a reminder about the reality. About 1 in 100 the startup company is running 1 year after the starting it, and about 1% of those will survive the next 5 years and start making real revenue and basically striking rich. Okay, that's the reality, but it also says that, okay, if you work hard enough, it's possible. Okay. Small and medium-sized enterprises also have more power to influence on your own work. You will be more or less like, if you are just working there, basically just working and small, medium-sized enterprise, they don't really mix. If you are working there, you are working there not full time, but with the full power. You are not going there, you know, just like in a old-fashioned factory on a conveyor belt, turning some nuts and bolts. But then also have these fringe benefits like gym bikes, video games, coffee, and so on, even Christmas presents. Why I'm actually taking this one here for the budgeting. All of these cost money for company, but they are not actually part of the wages and salaries usually. They basically belong to the later section, but okay. Wages. For this Metropolis Innovation project, you need to estimate the wages and salaries by basically estimate hourly wages based on your experience and add employer payments using an online calculator. That's how you see how much the employer is actually also paying this. This is the direct personnel cost in addition to your salary. Okay, for example, there's a Suomen yrittäjät palkkalaskuri. Unfortunately, that is in Finnish, but on the other hand, this is a group effort, and I think we have all of the groups have at least one native Finnish speaking student. If not, then, well, now it's time to find a native Finnish speaking friend or use Google Translator. It's not that hard actually. Just translate that small page. Okay, so in addition to the salary what you are paying, the employer is also paying the some extra on top of that, kind of the compulsory employment payments. Okay. More things to take into account. Indirect personnel cost, which is basically salaries, wages of basically managerial and administrative staff, which helps the projects. And well, it is there to help. It's part of the company's the operation. There is the CEO, then there's the administrative staff, there's managers, somebody's paying them, they are accountants, they are security guards, or safety guards, I think, cleanup workers, porters, all sorts of people. And that costs some amount of money, which usually comes up on the end of fiscal year when these main books, financial books are made. Then this cost is actually separated from anything else. Okay, in your case, you would estimate your group share of teachers' wages. That's basically the easiest place to start. So you can think of me and James as the this managerial and administrative staff, and we are following the Civista General Collective Agreement for Private Universities, which is a deal between Civista with this employee union and then this teachers union OAG. And there's a table of minimum wages. I added the minimum since employer, of course, they in this kind of job you don't get any extras. You get the wages directly from table, and so. But anyways, another table you can there estimate our share on your project. You have enough of information to calculate it. Basically, both me and James, we have 200-hour work time allocation. Okay, and then we have the minimum wage there. Okay, 200 hours, then basically you need to somehow calculate to the minimum wage. I think you also need to know, okay, yeah, you need to know one more extra thing. I will add it here before uploading. We have 1,600 hours a year. So this is 1/8 of the annual workload is this course for both of us. Okay, some calculations need to be done. Overhead costs, all other expenses, direct and indirect, which cannot be identified otherwise. Rent, heating, lighting, legal fees, repair, and so on, telecommunication. Usually, this is such a long list of bits and pieces that again, it's calculated from the company balance sheet of the previous year. So when these financial books are closed, then there is a line there saying overhead costs or turned into overhead cost. And this is something that your financial department can provide you. In Metropolia, if we are selling anything to external, we have to add 23% overhead on the top of all other costs, meaning wages, indirect personal cost, in top of that one, and actually also travel expenses, everything, 23% more. That's basically where the rent, heating, lighting, water bills, all of that stuff is there. Okay, next part. Usually, if there is travel involved on this project, well, I would guess that that's a time that there will be no travel due to this your innovation project. But if you do, you should take that one into account also. But here, project-related travel. When you are going to campus from home, that's not project-related. It's normal commuting to work. But if you are basically visiting the customer, future customer, or something like that, which is somewhere else from Espoo to, if your customer is in Helsinki, then basically that will be travel when you're traveling to the customer. Okay. Materials and supplies, or materials, software bought for the project. Actually, software, part of the software costs on the project are getting bigger and bigger all the time. So that might be even an under own title there. So software costs. But anyways, if that whatever you are buying, material or anything, is used in other project, you need to split the cost. And then warning about the overhead. Remember, overhead has basically all sorts of stuff there: telecommunication, travel, repair of equipment, and all sorts of stuff. Do not mix them. If it's already calculated, for example, you have a company computer, or you have a computer in any case, then basically you don't calculate that cost of your computer to the project cost, unless you need to have the project to have a separate computer, for example. Same thing for the office software, Microsoft Office products or any other office software. They are not usually the project cost, they are overhead. And then they are already accounted for on that in Metropolia as 23%. Then paid services needed both directly for the project, if you need external specialists there, or consults. And then my favorite cartoon about the consult, that's a dog from Dilbert. That's a small doggy is a dog bird, and that's the pointy-haired boss on the right. And this dog bird is pretty evil kind of small animal, and which like to insult people and also con people. So when you combine con and insult, you get consult, and the rest is history. I'm here to consult you, and it sounds expensive and demeaning. Okay, yeah, well, that's it doesn't go like that. Consults, you don't have to buy consulting services, and still they are basically quite often bought, especially for projects. Okay, now it's time for questions. No questions? Are you still there?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Good. Okay. So budgeting. I should have actually made a poll. No, it's a little bit late to do that.
Actually, I have a question.
Yeah. Okay.
About
good.
About the funding. That was something about creating the some kind of export product and getting some kind of funding from, was it some kind of Finnish government source? Yes. Was that actually like a business loan type of thing? What is it called in Finnish?
Okay. Yrityslaina would be the business loan, but there are also these grants. Apuraha.
What's that in Finnish then?
Apuraha.
Uh-huh.
You can actually apply from Business Finland. The small and medium-sized enterprises can actually get funding, not full funding, of course, but I think it was up to 50% of the project costs direct support funding if it fits on the criteria. And the criteria generally are that it will be an export product and what else? Check the Business Finland pages, what kind of grants they have as small and medium-sized enterprises. They are, at some point, they also have these startup loans and startup money, but I'm not sure if they still do that, since it changes from year to year. And basically, one small detail from late 90s, or actually the full 90s and the beginning of 2000, there was a company who actually got about 30% of the former TechCase, which is now Business Finland, these grants for mobile phone development. So Nokia got lots of money from TechCase to do the research and development and product development of their mobile phones. So that has been a enabling kind of funding. But TechCase also gives, I think that they had to give about, let's see, they have their own rules of how much they must invest on the small and medium-sized enterprises. And the investment means a grant, apuraha.
Do they ever have to pay it back, or is it just free?
If it's grant, then it's you just need to report it that you have used the grant wherever it was supposed to go. You have to pay it back with some interest if you buy something else or use it for something else than what they gave the money.
Is it actually, is it Business Finland, or is it like taxpayer funded, or is it based on some other funding?
Yeah, Business Finland is totally under the Finnish government. So it's basically responsible for Finnish government. So it's Finnish government agency.
Taxpayers.
Yeah, all European countries have similar kind of support system for companies.
Okay, Antti, can I make a comment,
yes.
please?
Yes.
Just before we go on to the next step, which is the logbooks.
Yep.
Let's just clarify what we've got here. So Antti has done a review of how one would look at any project and all the headings and subheadings that you would need to look at in doing a development or innovation project. What we expect from you then is to use that template and to be guided and to make some reasonable and fair calculations along different sorts of headings that you would expect in your project. So you're using this as a template to guide you. We don't necessarily think that you have to be right to the euro or to the 10 euros here, but when we look at them as the advisor for each project, it's got to make some sort of common sense.
Yeah,
exactly. You've taken into account all of these headings and subheadings, and for example, if you think in your project it would be normal that you would have to account for external consultancy, that there should be something in there. If in your project you think that the expertise is all within and you don't need external consultancies, you will have a nil in there. We're not doing a financial audit on this, but we would expect that you have done a reasonable job at trying to make a fair budgeting plan. No one's going to hold the gun to your head. and of course you're not going to get any money. But this is a sort of an exercise in first of all understanding the key elements that make up a budget, and also undertaking it in some small way. That's the only comment that I had, really.
That was a good comment. I was thinking about explaining things and stuff. Thanks, James. Excellent. So yes, the first budget, if there's something wrong with it, so what? If you're practicing it. If we find something to change there, sure. Well, I will tell you if I see some obvious things. But as James said, we are looking for that you have made enough of effort to make a reasonable estimate how much it costs. It's basically making budgets for projects is actually a discipline itself. For example, in Metropolia, we have 4 accountants who are helping these research and development project budgets, making the budgets, and so that these teachers and researchers don't need to do that alone themselves. But anyways, you need to have a feeling of how much things cost overall, and basically make a reasonable budget. Okay, more questions? All right, let's see. I think the next slide is about logbooks, making professional notes. Take notes. That's basically my own advice to you. I have single-use notes on my desk. I should actually open my camera and show you my single notes desk from last 2 weeks actually. Okay, but just for a moment, I will start the video there. Video and show the desk a little bit. Can you see my video? Okay, I have these notes all over the place. Okay, turn my video off. It would be better to actually have these notes on a notebook, but on the other hand, my work is more or less, I just deal with the stuff that I don't need to return back. I deal them only once and do something and then move forward. In your case, you will be working on a industrial project, and basically it's quite innovative process in any ways. You really need to have some personal notes while you are working, and I have some reasoning for that one. Okay, why? Note-taking schools is preparing for tests. Now there's my own estimate. I wrote about 60 full A5 size notebooks. That was the time, remember, I was actually student in university on 80s. Meaning that we had blackboard with chalk. We had overhead projectors for, these handwritten slides. And that kind of stuff. We didn't have electronic anything practically. We just got the first PC to the university when I was there. So I'm an old geek. So I wrote about 60 full A5 size notebooks from those lectures, labs, and so on. And I have never touched them afterwards, after the exam. Exam is done, okay, notebook goes there. The notebooks are still in my parents' house in Joensuu, though not for long. I asked my brother to destroy them. But okay, when you're taking notes in work, it's a little bit different. The first day I went to work with Vaisala, my boss actually gave me a notebook. I already knew what to do with this one since the notebook, but since I was actually working for the American University on a project group, and but anyways, why you are taking notes in company environment is that for example, those 4 reasons. Think of your boss coming and asking some detail about your work task you did already 2 weeks ago, and you have been moving on. You are in totally different. You might be actually even on a totally different project already. You cannot simply remember everything what you have done, or even the important parts. But if you made a note book and have some sort of good indexing system, for example, project 1 has its own notebook, another project has a different notebook, you know, okay, which project was it? You take the correct notebook. You said 2 weeks ago, you have a timestamp there. Oh yeah, here is the detail. It takes about 5 seconds to find the detail. Or then, how about customer? You are on basically making a product for a customer, and very detailed question comes. It's a one of the specialist customer asking about, for example, this is just an example, memory usage of the application you wrote 6 weeks ago. Do you really want to go back to that application on simulator and start running it again? At least I wouldn't like to go back there. I need to have that kind of information on the notebook. It sounds like quite important thing that I would actually write in addition to the reports. And then of course, bragging in workplace, that's a state of art. You start with say, okay, I did that one, and next one has to top it. And finally you say, I solved a technical problem that could save the universe. And then about 1 year later, hey, you said that you've actually solved the problem. So I have the same problem now. Would you elaborate? Yes, you can if you have taken notes. The fourth one, that's something that these ICT maintenance people have to do every day. Complete and big installation, very complex Unix system. Okay, company sells another one of those Unix systems. So who will be doing the installation? Would you like to start this from scratch again, or would you like to just follow your notes, what you made? Though at least that kind of situations are they happen extremely often in real life. Take my word, at least it did on late 90s. I think nothing has changed, but the world has become more complex. That's a change. So I would say that taking notes is a good habit. But these are the generic kind of things. Saving ideas for later use, yes. Keeping track of what have been done, yeah. What is most important, one of the most important things is that keeping track of the things that had been tried before. So then you can, in brainstorming session of a project group, when there are things like, okay, how about if we do this one, then you remember, okay, we have tried that before, it didn't work then. But okay, then you also need to analyze why it didn't work. Is the situation changed? You don't want to go directly and just trying it again. You need to analyze the situation, and taking notes actually can save lots of time and energy for the real job. Okay. Then there are some hints. I took it directly from one. I think I'm missing the. Okay, I'm missing the link here. I took it actually from one of those web pages and I just took. Okay, that makes a lot of sense. Those hints. The first one is be always prepared to take notes. Have a notebook. That's actually a good habit to have a real paper notebook with you. Well, old school would use notebook. If you are handy with your mobile phone, yeah, sure, why not? Electronic is almost as good as pen and paper. Taking notes on one-on-one meetings actually has a effect of increasing the trust. Thinking of a situation you are, okay, you are being interviewed by a company for a job. Which one would you rather see on the other side of the table? Person who just listens you and asks questions, or a person who listens you, asks questions and takes notes? Which one would you actually prefer to have on the other side? Okay, so the other one, brainstorming sessions. Doodling is actually quite good, or even taking notes on a brainstorming session. I was yesterday in a brainstorming session, and two of these papers on my table are from that one. I just make quick notes, and actually it was good since nobody else did any notes, and then we started thinking, oh, what we just were talking about, we should actually mark. There was one on this bulletin board, electronic one. Okay, I said, no worries, I have the notes. That happened yesterday, 9 o'clock. Client meetings, okay, take notes, not just to increase trust. Remember, now you are on the other side of the table. Client tells you what he really needs, wants, likes, hates about the product, what you are trying to sell, or something. Taking notes. It's very important that you don't, after 2 hours, that will be really embarrassing. After 2 hours, you send email. Oh, what did you say about that feature? What do you want from that feature? And that person has already told you 2 hours before what he really wants. That's irritating, right? And yeah, client meetings also review the notes with the client before meeting. All group meetings of the project, take notes, personal notes, not just the, do not rely on this, that somebody is taking notes, being a secretary and write notes, since that's all, that always have the perception of the person who is doing the notes. Make your own personal notes on these project meetings. Another hint is keep it simple. Really keep it simple. Don't make any too complex kind of stuff. This is just a note should be just a reminding kind of thing. So your mind is incredibly good machine for storing information. Unfortunately, the indexing system, how to find the information is a little bit of it's faulty. The notes actually help you remembering, say, full conversations. And there are some techniques actually that would help keeping simple notes which help you remembering things. What is actually also important is that you find your own style and use it. If you already have a style, don't change it. Or if you change it, just, gradually. Don't change it like, okay, I will start with that textbook note-taking method. It doesn't work like that. You can adapt things from, but it will be your own personal notebook. And then there are different styles. I just put 3 of those kind of big categories. Some people like lists. I do have list on one note here. Mind maps for visual thinker. Mind map, actually, I have never got into that one, but it has this some text and circle around it, and then it leads to another box that has text around it, text on it, and so on. I have never actually thought things like that. I like just the list, and then I make the mind map on my head. And then, of course, a method that I have never tried, but it sounds so fun. A trail of breadcrumbs, a tale of Hansel and Gretel, how they got lost on the forest because the bird ate the breadcrumbs what they were leaving as a trail behind of them. Okay. I have never tried it, but it's basically a memory method that helps you to memorize whole stories, not just details, but the whole story. At least that kind of styles are there. And then, of course, people like doodling, meaning that you draw things on paper. That's also allowed. It is your note. There's no good or bad way. It's only your way. Your way, and you better stick into it. And then, okay, now I got a reference, a life hack. There's actually quite brilliant article about the taking good notes. There's always that paper, what is it? Paper, rock and scissors game, but now more often people are arguing about which one is better, paper or electronic note. If you are planning to share notes, yeah, electronic is easier to share. If you want to doodle things, meaning quick illustrations, paper works faster. Other than that, it's more or less like what we are used to do, what is available. Of course, nowadays, everyone has a mobile platform. The drawings are quite difficult to do on the on mobile phones, but then it's you get clear notes from text, and it's you can take fast photographs. Okay, so paper versus electronic, that's something it's your choice. Some say good things to remember is to use structure of some sort of indexing, page numbers, timestamps, headlines, well, bulletin. If nothing else works, then use bullets. However, don't make your notes too tight, since most probably you need to add there something. the paper is cheap. It's very cheap. This A5 notebook is actually costs nothing, practically nothing. And compared to what is what you get from it. Leave some margins for later analysis. Some people actually use both left and right margin, and for different use. For example, action steps could be on left-hand side and then some questions on the right-hand side. Or, well, it's your note, you make the rules there. And also leave room for personal reflections, meaning that when you write stuff on your diary or logbook, make sure that you will actually separate ideas of your own from ideas of what you have heard. Since basically one way to claim an innovation or an idea, well, claim an idea, that's hard to prove, but a real invention, how you claim that you were the first one to make the invention when you are working on a project with others. You mark it on a notebook if you have a great idea, not just idea, but basically a little bit more than that. You have a real innovation there. You mark it there as your own idea, put a timestamp on the same page. Okay, that's your proof that, okay, it's mine. Of course, if you put it later than what you have already told it to somebody else, it doesn't much help you, does it? Okay. Then another thing about the making notes, and actually this is a personal note, and this is why it should be, this is something that you cannot actually share with anyone. This is basically, the next one is recording nonverbal behavior, which is kind of, what is that called? Assessment of a person. You can do it only for yourself, but you cannot publish it anywhere. Okay, but anyways, remember that nonverbal behavior also may be valuable to record. Think of again, for example, the customer, how happy he went when you told about one feature you could add to the product, and then you just mark there somehow, happy customer. Then basically that could lead into a better selling product. Then, of course, taking good notes. When you are making good notes, you are taking the notes for yourself to review them later. Go back to your notes, say once in a while, and take a look if you have some gold nuggets in them. And of course, basically what I do after each of that kind of meeting sessions, I take my notes after the meeting and browse them through and basically make quick analysis of, do I need to take any action? And then the final hint, prepare notes before meeting starts. Those were actually from the lifehack.org. I added myself mark references. That's a good, actually, for if you are working on engineering. Engineering is a scientific discipline where you have to be able to judge your decisions based on usually some reliable sources. So use references. All of you have been already taking some of these the language classes where you have been taught how the final year project or some project reports must be written and how they must have these references. Yes, those are very important references. Sorry that I didn't have that one on the earlier slide. Okay, but references are important. It's part of your professionalism. So it's not just you are not learning that one just for the school, you are learning it for the engineering profession, marking references. And good place to mark the references is your notebook, personal diary, logbook. Okay. Now, again, questions about notes. How many of you actually made any notes now? I know that was evil. On the other hand, I don't see any big reason to take no notes since you know that this is recorded and you will get this.
I made a couple notes based from what you discussed but didn't write in the slide.
Mm-hmm.
I think that was it like 1600 hours was somehow like the
yes,
per year for a
1600
teacher
hours.
or something.
Annual workload for teachers is 1600 hours. Excellent. See, you already
and 200 hours is per teacher per innovation
200
project.
hours is per teacher for this course. So, yeah.
But yeah, that's very interesting. Is there some kind of example that we could see, like what is a good type of engineering logbook? So if somebody is writing the thesis already, it was recommended to
actually,
write also an engineering diary or logbook also.
If you take a look at the just take Google search for images and engineering logbook or engineering diary, you will see the variety there. It's basically starts from simple lists and to big illustrations and everything in between. So practically, my advice to find your own style, it's a good one, but of course you first need to find it, and examples may help on that one. So yes, Google engineering logbook, engineering diary, either or.
Harry, I think you raise an interesting point here about if you start your thesis, because you're depending on your project, your thesis project, your recording of notes is a form of recording data of what is happening during the project. And perhaps if you're consulting and talking with other people, maybe some sort of qualitative data about what people say about their work and these sorts of things. So finding a way of recording and keeping track of these sorts of things in a thesis project is quite important. And you'll get some advice on that when you're doing your thesis research skills type work.
Yep.
Cool.
And actually taking that one step forward would be, if you have taken these personal notes during the day when you're doing the final year project, the thesis work, then basically at the end of the day, you can spend some time to write it down on the thesis template. So that would be one way of gradually building up your thesis, the writing itself. So what I did in my first thesis in university, I basically did the project. That was an old-fashioned way. Remember, this is 80s. Old-fashioned way, meaning that I did a project and then I started writing and starting remembering what I did. Okay, I had those notebooks, but then I returned back to those notebooks when I started writing it, the whole thing. And it took a long time to write it. Instead of actually, well, that was also the time that I was typewriting it. I didn't, for the first thesis, I didn't have the luxury of having computer to write the thesis. The next one I had a computer, but anyways, the damage was already done. Okay, so now we have these wonderful computers and the software for text setting software like Office, Word, and LibreOffice, and whatever they are. And basically, you can do the writing in parts. In older days, you couldn't leave basically the too much room between the at the end of the page, so that it would be have been writing some paper slips and gluing them together would be the old-fashioned way with a typewriter, but you don't have to do that one nowadays. Okay, more questions or comments? If not, then let's see what we have the next. Reports. This is short session, actually. Reports. Basically, there are some questions there. Why, where, what, when, how, who. Answering that kind of questions actually give you some information what kind of report it should be. First of all, who needs the report? Is it a executive report, meaning a short sentence, we did this project, it was a great success, yeehaw? Or is it for your some details, error report or something like that, and okay, now things got haywire, we need some more money, there will be a report to some person who is in charge of getting you more money. Okay, always, what is important to report? Think of that one. Basically, two questions are interesting in any project report. Are you on time? Are you on budget? On managerial point of view, those are the two important things. Are you on time? Are you on budget? And when? How frequently you would need to give the report? The rule of thumb is every time when there's a kind of mishaps happens, something like life happens and a system breaks down, you need to report that one immediately. But if it's a normal, okay, everything goes as planned, on time, on budget, then you would have some regular schedule for that kind of budget, the reporting. How to report? Okay. Report is not just, written formal report. It can be also video. Good example of a video of the Janne Salonen, the head of School of ICT. He makes a weekly report for the staff to see. I actually enjoy looking at those, except last report was it 50 minutes. It was about strategy, Metropolia new strategy 2021, 2024. So I haven't taken a look at that yet. But anyways, for meeting presentations, the usual way is to have oral report with optional slides. So basically, it's status report given, and if there's something special to show, then basically you can show them. For example, if you are ahead of time, then basically you might actually show a timeline there. If you are over budget a little bit, then you can show a cumulative, the expense report or something like that. Okay, but are they really strict rules? Not really, unless the report has some, like the final year report, which is also called as thesis, engineering thesis. It must follow some guidelines. Okay, different types, and yeah, and that would be sort of written formal report. Okay, different types. Weekly reports are generally short. Status report basically is a typically weekly report. Again, is it on time? Is it on budget? Any special happened? The weekly reports are actually quite good if you make those correctly. Then there are these interim reports, which means maybe after every 2 months you need to give a kind of overview of the status of the project. Then that would be called interim. And if you made the weekly reports correctly, then you can actually collect some pieces from there. A final report is basically taking a look at the objective of the project plan and then explains, kind of gives proof that, okay, we did exactly what was supposed to be done. That would be a good case. And of course, again, if you make these short reports, logbooks, that kind of things careful enough, then it helps writing the final report. And of course, final report is something you can start writing and updating as you go. So practically, after finishing weekly report, you could add that stuff into interim reports and then think of what goes down to the final report. Okay, so build them kind of gradually. Some examples, there are plenty of report templates. And basically you can take a look at those. I will move this sheet to the this public area under general, this course material. You can take a look at those there, but basically status.net has 30 free downloads. The best project report samples. You can see what kind of topics there are. They are quite obvious kind of things. Let me open this one, for example. Okay, general purpose project report. There's project status report. One page. Status, green, yellow, red. And then basically that will be the name of the project and so on. So basically a very simple status report and key issues, action plan, and status. Is it ongoing or done or not started yet? Simple. The one good idea to have follow some format on report is that it's easier to make, and another one, it's also easier to read. So usually companies, they have their own kind of report templates, especially this kind of quick status reports. Another one, smartsheet.com, has more templates for effective project management. And for the final year project, or actually a hint, we are following for the final report for the innovation project is done for the thesis template, Metropolia thesis template, for a good reason. You can practice using that template before you go into the and start your final year project. There are a couple of things that I have always, almost say 99% of the cases I have actually advised, given the same advice for the innovation project reports that had been then corrected for the final year project. So it's good to practice. But otherwise, the reporting, basically it falls down to asking those questions. When you need to do the report, basically you just take a look at who is asking the report, what it is for. To these answers, are you on time, are you on budget? And basically, yeah, thinking of how to report, when. And this is a group effort. Who is making the report? And that's something to think about on your group. Okay, reports. That was kind of vague, and it will clear out when you start doing the first reports. But anyways, I hope you remember some say key things from the presentation. And now it's time for questions. All right.
I have a question.
Okay.
Do you think that the amount of reports like depends also on the type of working in a company?
Yes.
What I'm meaning by that is if the company is following agile principles like Scrum versus a waterfall type of software development.
Yeah, glad you mentioned
process.
the Scrums. In Scrums, is it about 15% of Scrum workload is reporting. It's based on strict the control on the process, which actually means constant reporting. Although the reporting can be also, remember, different types of reporting, meaning oral report to the Scrum Master. Or then also if you're doing a software, then basically when you have done the software piece, that's actually also a report. The comments you have to put there, it's also a report. Okay. So, but anyways, yes, it depends, of course, the reporting needs and how you do it. It totally depends on what kind of work you do. So if you are a project manager and you are actually controlling several projects, you will be mostly of your work time would be reporting to somebody else. And for that one, of course, you would need a lot of information from your project groups, meaning constant reporting from those. But on individual level, if you are working as a, say, specialist, then usually you just need to write or report your own work and your part. And again, are you on time? Well, budget. Usually, if you are working there as a working asset, then it's more about are you on time on your tasks? Okay, more questions? Okay, shall we move on?
Okay.
To that part. James.
Okay, let's move on, and I'll be fairly brief on this regarding regarding setting up the teams and next steps in your assignment here. As Antti said, you spent quite some time going through these projects and people's requests to form a team and to rank their preferences or their favorites and these sorts of things. Big task, quite a challenging task. So I'm going to announce, if you like, the makeup of the groups, and then discuss the next steps.
Okay, so, James, a small detail. Would you like to have the share your screen?
Yes, please.
Okay, I will stop mine. And another thing, I think in order to actually, just a moment. In order to, where's the participants list? I think I need to reclaim my, just a moment. I need to reclaim the, oh, where's that one? Yeah, okay. I need to reclaim that I would be the host.
Okay.
Since I don't see the that I can actually make the breakout rooms otherwise. Okay, now I'm the host. Okay. Wait a minute. What is going on here? Oh. There we go. All right. Good. So now I will go and start making the breakout rooms according to our
Okay, so I'll move forward. So here is a good idea for you to either do a screen capture or have your notebooks, because here comes the distribution of teams. So Antti, can you see that next slide in project teams and teacher supervisor?
I have currently some technical difficulties. For some reason, I lost the whole Zoom window.
Okay, so somebody, Lauri, can you see that?
Yeah, I can see it as projects, teams, teacher, supervisor.
Okay, so that's okay. That's working. Okay, so we have 6 company projects and 9 simulated projects, and the selection is based on these company ideas, the self-formed groups, and the so-called popular ideas. So using those 3 variables or themes, we've formed these groups together. A big challenge because it's people have common sharings of ideas, a lot of people liking some and not so many others and things. But we've taken the most popular ideas and also the company projects. So here we go first. On the whole, I mean, I've looked at these videos, and on the whole, I must say that, you know, I think there was some nice work there. Short videos, on time.